Welcome to Pandora's Awareness Podcast, our place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. I am your host, Asher, and our guest today is Shanti. And you're here because we get to talk about victories. And Shanti got some victory we get to celebrate on this Friday. We can call it a
Yes.
Gratitude Friday too. We can share some stuff that happens either yesterday, day before that, year ago, week, however long, right? We get to talk about those. So Shanti, if you don't
Right.
mind telling us where you're hailing from, what you specialize in, how you adding value to the world, and who you being a hero to.
Thank you for having me, Asher. I am Shawnti Refuge. I am in Houston, Texas. I'm a certified mental health coach. I help women to release, heal, and thrive with guided journaling.
Mm. And who you being a hero to?
Hmm.
Who are you being a hero to?
Everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, you be rescuing a lot. You like the fire department? Is that what's going on? You just rescue
Yes.
everybody?
I'm a
Rescue everybody?
healer. I
You a
don't
healer?
discriminate. If a person needs to be healed, I will do my best.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, we're in business, Shantae, and I'm curious about some of your victories. If you gotta share with us something that is so victorious in your life, you want to celebrate on the mountaintop, so we can all cheer you on, uplift you. What would that be?
Me reestablishing a relationship with my daughter, my
Mm.
youngest daughter. We went on a hiatus of not speaking, I want to say maybe almost 10 years.
Mm.
And we reconnected this year in May. And she had her first baby, which is my third grandchild. And I am so in love. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. And I've just been on cloud nine. She just had the baby last Sunday. So we are reconnecting and getting back to where we should have been back then. So we know
Mm.
better now, so we're doing better.
Well, congratulations to you. And those kind of
Thank
ties when they're
you.
severed, when you sever those ties, sometimes they're like, it's just so congratulations. That's
Thank
important.
you. It
Yeah.
is. I'm excited.
Mm. Do you mind sharing with us like the journey back to reconnection, if you don't mind?
Yeah, back in, let's see, I want to say maybe when she was 13. We've always had behavioral issues with her. And back then, I had her in therapy. I was in therapy, and we did not know how to, move past the behavioral issues. And it got so bad that it was taking a toll on me mentally because I
Mm.
wasn't getting help. I would go to my mom, my dad, family members, and they weren't helping. All they would say is, "Oh, we didn't do that to you," or "Where do you think she got it from?" That wasn't helping. I needed
Mm.
solutions, and I didn't have any. And I came to a crossroads where I was either going to lose my job, go to jail, or let her go and live with her dad. So I
Mm.
let her go live with her dad for her safety and mine, and for me to stay free and
Mm.
to keep my job. It's real, it's true. So during that time, you know, I was so in anger and hurt that I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to look at her. Nothing, nothing. I just paid him his little child support, and that was it. And then, when I started my healing process in 2018, I had a nervous breakdown, and I didn't know
Mm.
that was. I just knew I had lost all control of my emotions. So, uh, when I finally got the help that I needed, which was through my therapist, she got me into guided journaling, which is where you're answering journal prompts, specific prompts pertaining to whatever subject you want to work on. So one of them was, the relationship with my family. And there were like five people on that list that I needed to reconnect because I disconnected from my mom, my dad, my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter. I disconnected from everybody because I felt like I was alone. Nobody understood. So it was time to now reconnect. And so through the guided journaling prompts, I learned why I had the nervous breakdown because I was suppressing emotions that I wasn't expressing. So I
Mm.
needed to go to all of these people, and mainly my youngest daughter. I had to go and express, my feelings and how she made me feel, and da 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 da. A lot of people are, well, that's a child. The child. No, she was not. She might have been a child in age. She was not a child in mentality. So we tried to reconnect in 2021, I believe, it didn't go so well. So we took another 2 year hiatus, and then we came back this year, and we sat down and we had to come to Jesus, and we laid it all out, and we forgave, we hugged, we cried, and we are great now. We're
Hmm.
great. It's still a work in progress, but we went from talking never, maybe once a year, to never, to now we talk every day.
Hmm. I'm gonna get into that prompted journal piece. I want to talk about that, but before I get to that journal piece, I'm curious to know, like, you discover when you connect back with her, what did she needed from you that she wasn't getting? Do you know?
I don't know what she needed
Hmm.
that I did not give, because in my mind, of course, I wanted my children to have the life that I didn't have. So they didn't want for nothing. They didn't need for nothing. I grew up in a house with no affection, no emotion. And I was vulnerable with my children with that. At first, it kind of creeped me out. I ain't like hugging and kissing on kids. I thought it was weird. But, for the sake of them, I had to, hug and kiss on them. But, she has never told me what it is that she needed. And you have given me something to ask her, because I'm going to ask her
Hmm.
what she needed back then. I got her help, so I thought, but the help didn't help, and the support system didn't help, because they all thought it was me. It was
Hmm.
me. And come to find out, she's on her own mental health journey now. And now people are saying it wasn't me.
Hmm. So then, if I ask the other question, the other side of that question, and what is it that you gave her too much of then that she didn't want?
I gave her too much structure.
Hmm.
She has structure. My house is a structured house. We have a bedtime, we had a dinner time, we had a lights out time, we had a no TV time, we had reading, church, and the Bible. We did it. We were
Hmm.
structured. It wasn't like army type, military type. It wasn't that.
Just on
But
mama, just on Santi.
I'm sure it was. It was structure.
Hmm.
I felt like, the more structure they had, the more responsible they would be. And they hated it. They did,
Hmm.
but I didn't back down on it. My goal was to teach them, anywhere you go, there's going to be rules, and you have to follow them. Even if you're in your own place, you still have rules to follow. You still have someone to answer to. You got bills to pay, you got to work, blah, blah, blah. So that was my, contribution to letting them know that, people ain't gonna take your crap out in the real world. You have to, be organized. You have to be responsible. They ain't like it. They still
Hmm.
don't like it.
No, it is interesting because we got those. Some of them call themselves the multi teenagers, the one that just like they got something to say, which is great. Yeah, you can speak, but then there's something that that let me go back here to say it because I was thinking about it even last night. It's crazy that before the podcast, so much stuff that pops in my mind. I gotta think about it. But I think it's important for like parents to like be there to like pass down information to the kids. Like I notice even places where a lot of like orphans and a lot of people that don't have the parents, they lose the parents because of violence,
Mm-hmm.
somebody get killed off. And when you disconnect from the education process that happens from parents to parent to kids, from grandparents to, you know what I'm saying? And when we're missing that piece, we don't get to transfer the legacy because there's a disconnect. And when you have a community that doesn't have no parents or no elders to pass on the
Mm-hmm.
education piece, then there's a big disconnect. And sometimes we don't really appreciate it until we don't have it. Because we're looking at even the continent, I'm trying to get to Africa, right? I'm gonna notice like a lot of orphans. Like
Mm-hmm.
just imagine not having a organized community with structure that pass on the knowledge that they have learned over the years to you so you can continue your journey. And when that's not
Exactly.
there, like they're lost. And what happened is they don't know who they are.
Me, I didn't have structure growing up. I did whatever I
Mm.
wanted to. Hence, I got pregnant when I was 14. That's what
Mm.
I was trying to prevent with my girls. No, we're not being teen mom. I'm gonna show you how hard this was,
Oh
because it
my
was not
God.
easy. Yeah, that's what I
Mm.
was trying. That was me trying to break the generational curse of teen mom. Even though I was the only one in the family who ever had a kid at 14 that I know of, because family don't like to tell their secrets. But I tell mine, because I want to help not only my girls and I want to help my community and anyone who is in the same situation, and let them know, you're not alone, and you can get through this. A lot of people who were my age, we were all teen moms, and I could
Mm,
count on my finger how many graduated. Me, I graduated with a 3-year-old from high school. I wasn't going to let
mm,
that stop me, and I surely did not want that to be passed on to my girls. So yeah, we had structure. Mama knew everything. Mama went
mm.
through stuff. We went through phones. I checked backpacks. I checked rooms. I checked in the pillowcase, under the mattress, under the bed, in the closet. I went to their school and checked their lockers. That's how I was.
Mm.
They weren't teen moms.
Shanti, we gotta wrap. We gotta wrap. This is interesting right away because I can see how it could be possible that you gave too much because of where your wire was birthed from. Because you were birthed from it was
That's
birthed
a
from,
possibility.
yeah, from the pain. And you was like, I'll make sure that it doesn't happen. And sometimes
Exactly.
people don't appreciate because they don't see where you're coming from. Until it
Exactly.
happened to them. They was like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
It was really hard. I see why mom was like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us don't appreciate when somebody says, "Hey, there's a snake over there. Don't go over there." Until
They're
they
gonna
get
go
bit.
anyway. They want to see.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mm,
Because that's like my mom. She told me she never taught me about sex. She just said don't have it. Oh, let
mm.
me see what she don't. Why she don't want me to go have it? Come on now.
Mm. You remind me of my mom. Just imagine at the age of 34, already have 9 kids.
Bless her heart.
And she
Wow.
put she pulled it off.
Bless her heart. Yeah,
And she
it
was she
is.
was she was an early teen mom too. And I think her mother
Oh,
was the same thing. So it was like, it's a thing that happens, and then he's like, okay, what do you do? How much structure do you put in there?
exactly.
Yeah. But you know what, the end though? I will tell you this. I was looking around, and some people recognize, like, if you don't have no offspring, your generation, your focus is gonna die off. There's no
Yes.
replacement happening. You need replacements. You just gotta
Yes.
tap when do you have them though, but you need replacement. You're like, young baby needs to be born, and young
Yes.
baby needs to be groomed. If not, the old folks gonna die. Like, where the rest of the family? The family got so smart, they shrink. There's no more family. Everybody die off because nobody want to have no kids. And a lot of people recognizing that now.
Yeah, but if I could go back, to be honest, I wouldn't have it. I never planned on having kids ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
How many kids you have now?
Two.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
Two.
And
Okay.
they're 10 years apart.
Mm. It's interesting. You came from a big family. How big was your, how many
No,
siblings you
small
had?
family.
Small family.
Small. I'm the oldest of two girls.
All have two girls.
Of three girls, I'm sorry. Three girls, oldest.
Mm. My mom had a lot of siblings. My dad had a lot of siblings. My dad was the last one. I had 8 brothers and sisters, so it was 9 of us total. So it's a lot of us. So I was telling myself like, I don't want no kids either. I was like, I'm gonna wait for the longest, right? I have a daughter now. She's 18. But I recognize like some people, like when you come from a big family, either you have a lot of kids or you don't. It's like, oh man,
Right. Mm-hmm.
it's too crowded. I grew up in a crowded home, very crowded home. So I know what it's like, but
I know you did.
a lot of us, a lot of us, a lot of us, it was very crowded. But I appreciate my siblings though. I do appreciate them because I had people to play with, to get in trouble with, to get me out of trouble. You know what I mean? All
Not
those
me.
things.
We're too far apart in age. Like
Yeah.
my middle sister is 6 years younger than me, and my baby sister is 18 years younger than me. So, and
What?
yeah, exactly. So I'm the oldest, the old sister. So we don't vibe like that.
You like the mom sister.
I'm the mom sister. Yeah, pretty much.
Mm. Wow, that's interesting. That's beautiful too. You get to learn those skill set. So
Yes.
so when you got into journaling, because I'm a big fan of writing, I think that's one of the most powerful thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes our information, our legacy is in our head, and not a
Yeah.
lot of us have stuff written on paper, and it,
Exactly.
not publishing books. Like I would love to read up on my great grandfather right now if he had anything written down. I would have loved to. I would love to go watch a video of my great grandfather to see what that guy was like. You know,
Yeah.
to learn about that person. But Don't have that. So I think this age we gotta find a way to write stuff down and create stuff and then go back and study the history, erase the mystery so we can make sense of us. So
Yeah.
what did you discover journaling? I'm curious about that.
I did not know until I started journaling. I started my journaling journey in 2018. So that's
Mm-hmm.
when I started my healing journey, the same year I had a nervous breakdown. And I learned that I had a lot of childhood issues.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that as an adult, looking back at my childhood, I had a lot of traumas that wasn't addressed, or a trauma that I didn't think was trauma, like me having a kid at 14. I didn't think it was traumatic. Looking back as an adult, hell yeah, that was traumatic. You know,
Mm.
going through, I mean, I went from being a brand new teenager to a mom. I didn't even
Mm.
have a teen, I didn't get to be a teenager. I went from, just got a teen, now I'm somebody's mama. So I did not get to experience that life of being a teenager. I had a lot of unhealthy relationships. I did a lot of foul stuff. I did a lot of things that I should not have done. But back then, I thought I was invincible and that was going to happen to me. Oh well,
Mm.
I didn't believe in karma. I thought that was just some stuff people made up. No, that's real because I got
Mm.
mine as
Mm.
an adult. But yeah, I did. I hurt a lot of people, and a lot of people hurt me, and I had to go back and heal all of that. And that, looking back, and like when you're journaling, you're writing the stuff down, and you're reflecting, it makes sense. It helps you to make sense of why you're the way you are,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps you make sense of, well, what can I do to be better? Like, I don't want to keep, being this way. And if I go back and look at my past journal entries, I don't even recognize that person. My handwriting is different. The way I speak is different from when I did back in 2018. It's amazing. It's like, who is that girl? That ain't Shwanti. Yeah, that was me.
Mm. Shanti,
Yes,
oh, do you have you have a book yet?
I do. It's called Quiet is Kept. And this talks about my journey. It talks about
Nice.
me from childhood, from my first childhood memory up until I had a nervous breakdown in 2018. So everything in between, I talk about it. I talk about how my therapist helped me, how guided journaling helped me, and how I help other people to overcome their traumas too. So yes, I have a book. I had to write a book.
Mm. I was thinking about it too. I was like, if you've been doing that much journaling, that is a book.
Yeah, it is. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Quiet
Shawnti
as
Refuge.
yeah.
I
And that's
like it.
me. That's baby me.
Hold on, that's your baby picture?
That's me. Yeah.
What? I envy a lot of people that have baby pictures. I don't have no baby pictures.
No.
No,
No, baby. None. Not even one.
none. I have no
Yeah.
baby pictures. I didn't even know what I look like as a baby.
Like you do now, just smaller.
I'm gonna shrink it down a little bit.
Shrink your head down. Yes. We don't crack. Black don't crack. So
Uh,
we look the same, just as babies. That's all.
mm, mm. Tell me about your writing journey. How was that for you?
It was hard. It was very hard because I had to revisit
Hmm.
those times, and I cried, I got mad, I had to stop for a while because it was too much. I was like, oh, I can't finish this book. And then I had these doubts, nobody want to read this, and nobody cares about your journey. I just had all these limiting beliefs, and I paused for a little bit. It took me a year to write this book. It should have taken me 90 days. It took me a year,
Mm.
but it got done. I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't. I just took everything for what it was. You have to face yourself when you're writing a book like this. You have to face yourself. You have to say, yeah, Shanti, you was foul. You did some bad stuff, and or they did this to you. I can't believe it. And when I wrote this book, I did not believe in inner child. I thought that was just some stuff people made up. No,
Mm.
your inner child is real, and she came out in this book for real, and she still comes out. Now I can't get rid of
Mm.
her.
Congratulations to you, by the way, because
Thank you.
only those that did it understand
Yeah.
the healing that comes from it. This is one of my big vision. I want everybody to have a book, at least
Yes.
if not a version of this story published, because I think it's so powerful when you can go back, because oftentimes this is what happened. I do anthology book too myself with a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on right now. I'm doing mostly immigrants, right, veterans. So
Mm-hmm.
my focus is to get people to really go back and visit history, because that's your intellectual property. Like that's your experience. You created that. You gotta own it. That's yours.
You
And
got time? Yep.
yeah, and it's like, why would I give that away? Like do you know the price I paid to accumulate that stuff to get here?
Okay, people don't understand
They
that,
don't
but
understand. Like,
they understand after they read your stuff. But yeah, I want my kids to write a book. I want them to write a book on their experiences,
yes.
because we all have a story that needs to be told. And it's when we tell our story, it no longer becomes about us, it's about everybody else. Because there's
Mm,
somebody out there who can identify, there's somebody out there who needs to hear your story so they can know that you're not the only one that happened to. And
mm,
if this person can get over it or get through it or whatever, then you can too. So yeah,
mm.
it's very important to write a book.
And the beautiful part about it, even that I value the writing process itself more than
Mm-hmm.
like the publishing itself. 'Cause- So this is why I say that, because when you sit down and you go back through that thing that you thought was so heavy to lift, when you go back and visit it, and then you find a way to give it language that's easier to lift, you can take it into the future now. And the reason why a lot of people don't want to go back in their history, because they're like, that stuff was too heavy for me to carry. But as a grown up now, you have the capability to convert that language something easy to carry, easy to
Yeah.
lift. But you gotta go back and look at it. Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
I
you have
totally
to.
I what do you call it? What I look at? I exaggerated that whole thing because of
Mm,
my brain at the time. But as a grown up
yeah,
man, as a 44-year-old man, I look at that same situation, wouldn't be the same. But
exactly.
we're afraid to go back, because you talk about inner child, because when you go back, you're gonna meet that little inner child, right? And you gotta talk to that person and figure out, okay, how hurt were you? And and
Exactly.
no longer you have to be hurt, because now you're grown up and you can look at that
Exactly.
situation differently.
Exactly. Yes. And I wish more people understood that, but they're
Mm,
too afraid to go back there. But it's necessary. It's so
mm-hmm,
necessary.
mm. I'm noticing now, because I one of my co-author, she's from Pakistan. We had like this week we had like a really good, like 3 hours of working on a book together, just going over the
Mm,
stuff. And she was like, "Man, Asher, I'm like, I don't feel right now. Just going back there." I'm like, "But we gotta go back there, right? Once you go there and you just look at this thing and look at the experience, like it's not that bad." And the other thing is like, you gotta appreciate that person that got you here. Just imagine if you made a wrong turn, you probably wouldn't be at this age you are right now. You probably would have gone. So that
exactly.
person made the right decision to get you to this point. Like the Asher, the previous version of Asher made the right choice to get me to my 44th birthday. I gotta appreciate that guy. I can't appreciate him. I gotta increase the value of him, because he did it right to get me here. If not, I might have been trapped at 42 or 43. I might have ended there. But the guy got me to
Exactly.
44.
Exactly. Yes. That was perfect. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Mm. So you don't mind sharing your age, right? How old are you?
I'm 47.
47. Okay. So you got 47 of years of history. Like so much stuff,
Mhm.
you got content for days. And now the
Yeah.
world needs that content. And
Yeah.
you want to hide it in a vault? You want to lock it in a vault? I want to share it with the world, that treasure?
Absolutely not. I
Yes.
share. I tell everything. You
Mm,
want to know? If people, I always tell people, if you want to know something, I don't mind answering it. Just be ready for the answer. Because
mm,
a lot of times people give you sugar coated. No, I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm beyond that. I'm past that. My
mm,
sugarcoating days are over.
mm. Well, I'm glad you did, because you mentioned earlier you take 3 days, 3 weeks sabbatical. Do you
Yeah.
mind telling me what was the purpose behind that?
I I still work a 9 to 5. I've been
Mm-hmm.
at that job for 19 years. I rarely took a vacation. The longest I've ever taken was like a week. I'll take a day or two here and there, but I've never done 3 weeks.
Mm,
And when I took it week before last. So I took it and I kind of felt guilty. I was like, man, I can't take 3 weeks off from work. I said, okay, I'm gonna come back next week, the following week. And then when the following week got there, I said, "No, I'm keeping my 3 weeks. I deserve it. I earned it. It was time for me to invest in me. You know, I didn't do any interviews. You're on my first interview in
mm,
my 3 weeks sabbatical. So, I was just like, I want to be with me and focus on me. And I don't want to have to worry about whatever's going on at work. I stopped looking at my email. Normally I would be on vacation. I would still look at my email, still
Mm.
answer. Baby, no, I did not. I didn't answer nobody except for our admin. I told her she was the only one I would answer the phone for, and she only called me like twice. So we good. But I needed that time for myself without feeling guilty. Because when you are still working a 9 to 5, a lot of us are afraid to take time off. Even though we earn it, we earn our PTO and we're afraid to take it, because I know I used to be afraid to take it in the beginning because I would think if I took PTO, I wouldn't have a job when I came back. But now I'm at the point where I don't care. I earned this time. I deserve this time. I'm going to take my time. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. People come in my office all the time, burned out, frustrated. Maybe take your PTO. You earned it. They can't tell you no. And they think that because you request off, that you're asking permission. No, ma'am. That is me letting you know I'm going to be off these days. Whether you approve it or not, I'm going to take it. That's all right. We earned that. And I think if more of us change our mindset into knowing that we deserve that time to ourselves, we would take it and not be afraid of what our employer thinks. You got this job, you get another one. Or they gonna need you before you need them. You just have to change your mindset and stop being scared to get what you deserve.
Shawnti, we gotta wrap on this one right here because you just brought up some deep stuff that I want to talk about now. Because how did we get here? How did we get to a place where the elevator plantation, the corporate plantation, what of these plantation got us feeling like we cannot
You
take a
said that
break?
right, plantation. That is the operative word. You said that, yep.
Like, how did we get here? Like how? Why are we feeling guilty? Like, what are we afraid of so much?
Losing our job,
Mm,
being able to pay bills, being able to provide for our families. But guess what? There's 8 billion people on this planet, which means there are a lot of jobs. Go work for yourself. That's what I'm in the process of doing. I let my employer know 2 years ago, I'm not going to be here much longer. I said, when the Lord tell me it's time to leave, I'm leaving. He just ain't told me yet. But they are
mm.
aware. And you don't hesitate for that. But that those microaggressions that the plantation have that make you scared.
Mm. You know, I was on the army plantation.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for 22 years. And I mean I respect the army, I appreciate the army. Army does a lot for me, right?
All right.
But I realized there's a whole different mindset being an employer and being an entrepreneur. I didn't recognize there's a whole separate mindset being a soldier than being a civilian. I didn't understand it until I was stuck in it. I was like, wait a minute. Like those rules don't work. Those rules don't work here. These are whole new
Yep.
rules. You gotta learn these rules.
Yep.
And it got scary for me so much. I was like, man. I took a year sabbatical, my friend. You talk
See?
about 3 weeks? I took a whole year. I was like, what the fuck? I had plans. I had plans, but it's a whole different mindset. I gotta find a way to transform myself into this new mindset and this new guy that was birthed. He's a brand new baby now because he got a new identity. He never
Mm-hmm.
been an entrepreneur, and he ain't got nobody to support him. Like there's no nurturing happening for this new entrepreneur, this new baby, and it was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
I was paralyzed for a while. It taught me something about community, and I realized that when I first joined the military. Like when I take on that new identity as a little baby now, I'm a baby soldier, right? A newborn to that identity. I had a brotherhood to support me, to nurture me on, so I can grow.
Yeah.
But when I did reverse part of it, when I left it, I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. That community wasn't there that I know of, and I was a newborn baby out there in the cold with no confidence,
Yep.
scared as fuck. And I
Yep.
was like, what do I do next? I got skill set, but not the same mindset. I go find it. I gotta grow it, and it's a lot of stuff that people go through, and so the same thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we trapped into that employee status, and we afraid because because that might you don't know we know if you go out there, like who's gonna coach the new version of yourself, who's gonna cheer you on until you become successful, and that's scary.
It is. It
Mm.
is. It definitely is. But there are people out there. The difference is that you have to find your tribe. You got to find your community. They're not gonna come knock
Yes.
on your door. They're not
Mm-mm.
gonna say, "Hey, you look like you need some support." No, they're not
That is the thing. They're not. It's like, yeah, nobody know you're hungry. I mean,
gonna.
like, yo, man, hands out,
You
I'm
have
hungry.
to talk. Yeah.
Yes. And bring us to the next piece. You gotta learn how to write, you gotta learn how to talk. Oftentimes people are afraid to speak.
Yeah.
Very, very afraid to speak. I had to work on that skill set. I'm like, I don't know what to talk about my story. I'm gonna share it. Like,
Yep.
how are they gonna know that I'm hungry?
Exactly.
I gotta start yelling. So you talking about your book. I know
Mhm.
when you write it, like how did it feel for you when you first started sharing that story after you written it? How did that feel for you? What was that journey
I was nervous when I first
like?
started sharing my story. I was like, oh my God, people are going to say I was a bad person. I was a bad this, a bad. And I was. So they wasn't
Hmm.
going to be saying anything that wasn't true. But now I have control.
Hmm.
I won't let another person tell my story, especially if they weren't there. There's no way. And because I've had people that have tried to tell my story secondhand,
Hmm.
third hand, wasn't even there, but would swear to God they could tell my story like they were there. And they weren't. I said, no, wait a minute.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm gonna tell my story. So I stopped being afraid of what people thought, and I just start talking. Yes, I did this. Yes, I did that. Yes, I am this. So what?
Hmm. But you know what though? You got you got IP, you got intellectual
Yep.
property, you got it
Yep. Sure
packaged,
do.
and everybody needs to turn their story into IP.
Yes.
Everybody should, because if you don't, somebody's gonna own, like Facebook and Instagram and all. They own your whole. They own your IP, because that's always that's where your story is at, and you have no authority there. They own your stuff. So I'm
Exactly.
like, listen, you gotta put your story in the book. You gotta find a way to
Yep.
put it in a place where you can own it, you can control it, you can call it your intellectual property.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what I urge other people to do.
Mm,
Tell your story. And, at first when I was writing it, I wanted it to be perfect.
mm,
I was picking and choosing what I wanted to say. And then I had to stop myself. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
mm,
Nobody is perfect, but they like to pretend to be. So this is where you come in and you just tell it how it is. We are human. We make mistakes. We make bad decisions. That don't make us a bad person because we made a bad decision.
mm,
Unless you just ain't shit. And they got some people who are out here like that, and that's their choice. But you have to be authentic,
mm,
and that's how when you get somebody and you can hear them tell their story and hear the authenticity in it. That shit is real.
mm. Yeah, I think we need the juicy stuff, because
Mhm.
when I'm reading people's story, like the raw stuff, it is so powerful. Like, I know this person. Like, do you know how beautiful it is when you can, like, you read somebody, like I know this person, and
Yeah,
you can't help but love them based on what they've been through. Because, like, oh my God, if I was going through that, like, right now we switch bodies, you put me in the operating system of your body, I'm sure I'm gonna fuck it up because I don't know you like you know your body. So therefore, I cannot operate. That
exactly.
means you are the smartest person to operate your body. Because
Exactly.
I don't know that there's an injury happened a couple years ago in your leg. So I'm gonna try to run fast. I'm gonna realize I'm gonna break you down, right? So if you think about the process itself, like, nobody's an expert at you. Like, if you switch bodies
No,
right now, they won't be able to operate your body like you did. So
exactly.
they can't own your life. They can't come make
Yeah.
shit up for your
So
life. Oh my God.
stop letting other people tell your story. They
Mm,
wasn't there. They didn't live it. They didn't go through it. They didn't feel what you felt.
mm-mm.
So that's why you tell your own stuff. And then you get paid for
I'm
it.
gonna share this other. I'm gonna share this other part with you too, right? Because when I first started writing my first book, I was thinking about it deeply. I was like, when you go to college, you write your paper, your essay, whatever, you turn into your professor, and your professor decides he's gonna grade you, tell you it's A, B, C, whatever, whatever. I'm like, why the fuck are we doing that? Why not make the marketplace my professor? I'm gonna write it, put it out there, you tell me if it's great, bad or not, give me some review, whatever. I can work on it, keep working on it. And a lot of people, like, you say your journal. I was gonna say, well, about your book, but I realized you already wrote it. But I was gonna tell you this. I was like, if you journal for so many years, if you write stuff down for so many years, we got these AI tools these days can take all of that stuff, analyze it, organize it, give you a nice outline, help you to expand on it. And that's why I do with people, like, listen, when you're writing, you don't have to try to figure out the right organized anymore. That stuff is like old age writing. You write stuff as disorganized as possible, whatever comes to mind, you write it down. And these tools are available today. to look at that disorganized chaos and organize it for you because they got the content on it, got the raw data, and you can turn it into a story very fast.
Yeah, that can
So,
happen.
that's why I tell people like, listen, just write, just put it down, and we sit down. We let these AI tools do the data analytics, and do the organizing, the outlining, the reframing, and you can get your story to a way you can carry it now.
All right, that's an option. I didn't choose that option.
I didn't do that for
I
my
was
first book. I did for my book after. I went the long road like you did. It took me a whole year to write my first one.
yeah, I went the long road, and a lady came up to my table when I was vending one time
Mm-hmm.
recently, like a month ago, and she asked me about my book and my story, and I was telling her, and she stopped me and said, "Oh, so you had a ghostwriter because you couldn't have written this about all of this you went through." The old Shanti wanted to cuss her out, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no ghostwriter could ever put in this book what I put in this book. This is
Mm-hmm.
all me. And once you read it, people come back and tell me, yeah, it was just like you sitting here talking to me. That's how I wrote the book, just like I'm talking right now. I don't cute sit up or nothing. I'm me all day, every day. And in the book, you get to understand what I went through, how I went through it, and how I felt. And either I'm gonna make you mad, make you laugh, or make you cry. You're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
something when you read that book. So ghostwriter could never. But yeah, so people are weird.
Mm-hmm. No, it's somebody trying to devalue your work, but sometimes
Yeah,
I reckon I had to change. There's another mindset I had to change. So I had to change my mindset when it comes to writing as well because I realized there's a difference between the writer and the author. It's two separate roles, right? The author owns the
exactly.
story, the writer does write. So I have
Exactly.
ideas. I'm like, you probably better writer than I am, right? But this is my idea, this is my story. Help me write it, sure. But I'm still the author because it came from me.
Exactly.
Just like when you've been journaling, that's your story. But guess what? Oh,
Yes, that is exactly. All you're doing is answering a question. You
mm,
answer that question, that's your story. I just gave you that tool to use it
yeah,
to get it out of you. Because we could have an idea in our head, and when it comes to putting it on, speaking it is one thing, but when you write it down on paper, it becomes something totally different. And
mm,
that's why I am all for the pen and paper. People like to use digital journaling, and nope. When I coach, I do pen and paper
pen and
because
paper.
it's a whole different experience when you
Mm,
are writing it down, because stuff comes out that you don't even know was there. And I've seen it time and time again. And I've had people be like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way," or they cry, or they get mad and cuss me out. But whatever, you still got it out.
yeah, it's interesting. So this one of my goal is to elevate these three vocabulary: my thinking vocabulary, my speaking vocabulary, my writing vocabulary. I
Mm-hmm.
always value myself as a great thinker. I always, like my whole life, I know I was a great thinker. But I didn't master the English language, the grammar rules, all that stuff. That should make me uncomfortable. I used to make me insecure and stuff. So I never really share. But I could fit here. I can think about stuff and I'm like, oh, I can see the solution. But then when I gotta speak it, I used to stutter a lot. Like stuttering was a thing for me. I fumble over my words and stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
speak
I
very
used to do that
fast.
too.
Oh my God. So I was like, Asher, you gotta align these three vocabularies. Because I used to admire people that could like really, really write really good and they could speak really clear and they could speak. I'm like, man, one day I want to be just like that. Like my hero is Earl Nightingale. You know him?
Cool.
Earl Nightingale.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yes. That guy, I think, is like one of the greatest speaker. Like he's very good. Like this guy rap his lip around words very well. But I discovered something I didn't know about him. Like my coach was a Earl Nightingale is my coach mentor, speaking coach mentor, right? And he was telling me about Earl. He was like, listen, like Earl read a lot of script. He was on a teleprompter reading. A lot of people didn't know. Thought it was like this guy speaking from the heart. He write his stuff out, and I realized the power of writing your stuff out, and he let it out. But I don't got the
Exactly.
greatest like reading text and like reading stuff aloud. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
working on that. But I can think and I can speak naturally. But he was a genius at this. Put his idea on paper and then speaking it. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. So it made me feel better about worrying about like, okay, speaking speaking on script, so forth and so on. He was a script speaker. Could just sit down and process his idea and write it out. And when I learned it, I was like, oh, let me stop putting so much pressure on myself. You know, I can write it out and speak it, read it out, or I
Yeah.
can speak it naturally from the heart.
But either way, it's still your words.
Still your word.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it. Whatever feels comfortable to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't feel comfortable in what you're saying, your audience ain't gonna take you seriously.
Because they buying you.
Exactly.
And if you ain't sure about you, we ain't sure about you either.
Say that. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so we got any more victories? Let's go. Any more victories you want to share before we wrap up here?
Yes, I'm starting my second book,
You
a
are?
sequel. Yeah, for the sequel to Quiet as Kept. Yes, it's time. So
Mhm.
now, I get to take you on the journey of me getting my family back and me getting better and, how I'm helping others. It's going to be great. So, yes.
Congratulations. See, once you write
Thank
one book,
you.
you can't stop. You gotta write more. Like,
Yeah.
here's my big goal. My goal is to write 86 book by my 86th birthday.
Oh,
I'm working on book
you,
number 4 right now, by the way.
you put it out there, so it's going to happen. It's
Yeah,
already
it's
done.
like the brain. I see the thing about the brain, whatever you tell it to do, is gonna do it. So I ain't gonna give it no
Yeah.
small goals. I'm gonna give it big ones.
Yes.
Because he's gonna find a way to make the big one happen. You know something I learned too when I made that big ass goal? I realized that that's the reason why I'm like using AI now, because before I was just doing, I'm like, how the fuck I'm gonna finish 86 books? Like, how am I get there? And then I was
Easy
like,
now.
yeah, yeah. So my brain was like, Asher, well, first thing, you don't have enough story to put in 86 book right now. How do you get it? Oh, I need to find people who have stories, help them collaborate with them, do the story. So that opened my brain. I stopped thinking about just me. I started thinking about who else. And it opened up me to like start talking to people, like look into other ways. And I love that. That taught me the biggest lesson. Make your goal as big as possible because it forces your brain to think about way more options.
Yes. Because when you do that, how you're doing it, you are inspiring others to tell their story who wouldn't have done it on their own.
Yes.
So you're bringing people together to tell their story in a collective way. Their story is
Mm-hmm.
getting out there. So yeah, you're doing that.
Mm. But yeah, it has changed the way I see the world and the way I look at things because I realized at the end of the day, I wish like I was thinking about it. I was talking to a lady, she was talking writing letters to her grandkids and stuff before they even born. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
Mm, that's
Just like writing
beautiful.
stuff out. Yeah, and I was like, man, that's interesting. But if we
Mm,
sit down and write stuff out, it will help a lot of people. Because I used to look up to musicians, have their music, and their grandkids listen to their music. Their whole generation still have their music to listen to. And I want our story to be just like the music, passed on, keep passed on because it's valuable. Like my biggest hero is Bob Marley. Like,
legacy.
yeah, yeah, his music is living on through all his kids and his kids bringing on grandkids. I'm like, man, but we don't have content of our elders or forebearers on record for us to go back and listen to like am I just like my great grandfather? What was this guy like? Like what was he thinking at this age? I would love to know so I can see if I'm thinking the same thing.
Exactly. So
Mm.
now that we know what we wish we would have had, it's up to us to give our greats and great greats that option. They can come
Mm-hmm.
back and my great great can come back and read my book and
Mm.
and all my books and learn about me where it started because we're the generational curse breakers. Come on now.
You listen. You are the ancestors now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are you gonna do as an ancestor? Because I was thinking about it, it's like, oh my God, Shanti, I was thinking about like, man, just imagine 5 generations from now. They're like, I want to see what Grandma Shanti like. What was she had her first baby at 14. What was that even like? I would love to know what she was thinking. Like because that
Exactly.
becomes a value. Like at 14, like what was she
Yep.
thinking? Like how she got through that? And if they only know what you did, they will look up to you. They're gonna eulogize you as Grandma Shanti, great Grandma Shanti that did it at 14 and pull it off, and got the generation to continue.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The next book is coming. Great, 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 grand.
Yes. And the
We
next,
put
and probably the next.
keep putting it out. Yeah. I'll go back to the 86 book because I was listening to this one guy. He said something that inspired me with my 86 book. It was like a rabbi. He was having an interview. They asked him like, how was he able to write 80 books? 'Cause he wrote 80 books over his lifetime. They was like,
Mm.
how are you able to write 80 books? And he was like, all I did was tell the same story 80 different ways.
Mm.
And I was like, what? He was like, all I do is find a way to tell the same story 80 different ways. I'm like, that's brilliant. We go figure out how I can tell the same story 86 different ways.
Yeah, it could be done apparently. So
Yeah.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
no excuse.
No excuse. Shanti, if
Yes.
somebody hear you right now and say, Shanti, guess what? Lady, you are my hero. And I would like to connect with you and chat it up. How can I do that?
Thank you. I'm grateful. And you can find me at ShawntiRefuge.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. My handle is at Shawnti Refuge Journals.
Hmm. I'm gonna tell you something that happened today.
What happened?
I think this is probably one of the podcasts I've talked the most in a while.
Wonderful.
You got me talking today, Shanti. Normally I sit and I
Yes.
ask questions and I make it all about the guest. And then just kind of like probe into the story, just get them to share. Because oftentimes people want to share this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I have opportunity to sit down and let people share and go back and forth. But we had a really good idea tennis here today. But I think I shared probably one of those podcasts I shared the most at. I'm gonna go back and listen to myself. Like, oh, how much did I talk today? So there,
You
there
bet.
is something unique about you that get people to talk. I wanted to just let you know that.
I know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, you
It's a
do. So
gift. I'm
so
gifted.
so so I can only imagine when you're doing your journal prompting with your clients and stuff that you get them to pull out of them their story. And that's a
I
skill
do.
set.
I
Yeah.
do. Thank you
Okay.
for recognizing that. I appreciate that.
I see you. I see you. Now,
Thank you.
if you had to wrap up today and tell us what your biggest takeaway or giveaway from this conversation, what would it be?
That I'm serving my purpose. And if I can
Mhm.
serve my purpose, and if Asher can serve his purpose, then you who's watching or listening, you can serve your purpose too. And if you
Mm,
don't know what your purpose is, that's when you get around people who know what theirs are, so that they can help you to discover what yours is. Stop being scared.
mm. And I will add to that, oftentimes people gotta tell us what our purpose is. And the reason why I say this is because like you can't see the label on the jar while you're in it. And
Right?
oftentimes what you're great at, what you're really good at, oftentimes people see it before you see it because it is useful to
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And when they say, hey, Shanti, when you do this is like the fruit on your tree. I come here every day for this fruit. And I want to tell you that keep growing that fruit, keep making that fruit shine because that's the fruit we came here for.
Will is am.
So thank you for sharing that. That's why I love the community thing because oftentimes the community help you, or even family help you see your gift, see your what you're great
Yeah,
at, what you're most useful with, and then that becomes the thing that you go change your world with.
you're
So
right.
awesome. Also last question for you then. What is that one thing or two thing when people do it drive you crazy?
I'm in Houston, so the driving. Houston drivers, oh my God. Uh, so that drives me crazy because they don't know how to drive, especially when it's raining. Their
Eh?
level of driving decreases.
Mm,
Um, and they're always causing wrecks. And people who assume things,
mm,
that drives me nuts. Don't assume anything, because when you assume things, you make an ass out of yourself.
mm,
Go ask a question, go research it, go Google it, ask somebody who knows the answer. Don't assume anything.
mm. Thank you for sharing. And folks, you tune into Pandora's Awareness Podcast, a place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. And today you heard from Shanti. You understand what she specializes in, or she adding value to the world, and she want to be a hero to all of you because she cares. So Shanti, make it an awesome week.